What up, what up, what up? What is happening, good people? Welcome to this Relationship Friday edition of Herb and Two alongside Tucson Warner. My name is Herb Howard. Every Thursday and Saturday, we are here hanging out with you wonderful people, talking about issues that currently impact the black community. Unless, of course, you are an official dirtbag, which all of y'all should be. And you can watch it live on Tuesday nights as we record it. Shout out to all you official dirtbags. We see you, we love you, we appreciate you. But again, this is where we get together and talk about issues currently impacting the black community. We talk about how those issues impact us as individuals and also how they impact us as a collective and along with your immense help. We talk through these issues in hopes of finding the optimum solutions for how we can overcome said issues again as individuals certainly, but more importantly as a collective. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. We will read through as many of your comments as possible. Shout out to the good brother Emmanuel Ford. Again, this is Herb and Two. It's intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. My name is Herb. His name is Two. Two. What's happening, good brother?
What's up, family? Blessed and highly favored.
I want you to stay blessed so I don't worry about the production of what's going on, right?
I'm confused. I'm looking around like, what the fuck's going on in here,
It's
bro?
above, it's above
It's
your
above
pay grade.
me now. It's above me now.
Right?
It's above me now.
Leave it alone, okay? The people that make this show run and look good know what they're doing. We do not. Let's not pretend to. It'll only confuse you.
Yeah, we got the weakest link in here, bro.
Oh, I don't know about that. Nah, let's not go too far, but we have the easiest job.
The weakest link.
Ron is by far the weakest link. We all know this.
I don't know if that's true no more. This shit's looking high. It's high level in here now.
It's true.
I don't know, man. It's advanced in here.
It's true. It's always been
So if
true.
Ron isn't the weakest link, who you trying to say is the weakest link?
Hey, it's us. It's
Oh, y'all.
me and her.
Sorry, Ron. I wasn't trying to. I know.
No,
She
no,
was trying, Rod. She was trying.
no, it's
No,
Ron.
I should have said no disrespect, but
No disrespect, but it's you.
It's Ron. It's got to be Ron. It's a part of the show now. Nah, that's real, man. On this Relationship Friday show, we are going to get into a couple of things. The makings of you. Like, how did you become who you are? What made E go from passive aggressive to a bitch? Like, how do you get there? This week, you know what I'm saying? Like how do you do those things? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I've been thinking, fuck you. You know
I
what
think
I
I'm
mean?
very sweet.
Bipolar ass nigga
I'm
over
very
there.
sweet, by the way, actually. People have me confused.
You know,
I'm
like
the nicest person you ever meet.
what are the things that have shaped us to be who we are? A couple of things though I do want to get into
Great question.
to touch on before we jump too deep into the actual topic. And we certainly want to know what y'all think are some of the things that have shaped you to be, you know, who you are. Like, were there certain moments you look back to in your life was like, oh, that's probably when I started acting like this? Was there a certain relationship that was like, that's probably when I stopped acting like this? Or, you know, whatever it may have been that led you, that you can kind of track, you know, that some of your main characteristics, if you will, be it positive or flaws, perhaps. But before we do hop too deep into that, man, y'all seen the video of the sister who got smacked with a brick?
I have seen it.
She got, so the most viral video, there's a black woman and she's like, her face is like super like,
She got like two faces. She got two faces from Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her shit bad.
Face off.
Right, and so she's like, this dude just hit me with a brick, all because I didn't give him my phone number, and all these other black men around here just sat there and didn't do nothing, and what's wrong with them, and what's wrong, why would y'all let him smack me with a brick? And so the first time I seen the video, I'm like, damn, that's terrible, like that's super duper fucked up, and I do still think that it's super fucked up that she got hit with a brick, but I'm like, damn, not only did she get hit with a brick by one of these lame, because I said on the show how niggas be so lame about like hollering at women, and women don't give them their number, then they turn super hella disrespectful. Like, you then broke your neck, crossed 2 streets of traffic to go try to holler at Shorty, then soon Shorty be like, nah, you like, you ugly ass bitch. Like, she couldn't have been too ugly, boy. You almost got hit by a bus to go holler at her. So I always think that kind of stuff is lame. So when dude hit her with the brick, I'm like, that's super crazy. And then all the brothers was around that just kind of not only let it go on, but didn't do nothing thereafter. I'm like, that's terrible. That's wild. Lo and behold, another video then comes out from moments before when she was still normal faced it.
No face.
She is being verbally and physically assaulting a man. She's just slapping him in his face, then shaking her ass, having fun, laughing about it. And I'm like, oh. So then you get hit with a brick, you play victim out here, but you've been out here smacking men in the face and laughing, he-heeing about it. Not to excuse or justify getting hit with a brick, that's still fucked up. He still shouldn't have did that. But you can't put out one video like, I was just, not that this, I'm still not, excusing or justifying her getting hit with a brick. But when you get the full story after you didn't play this whole victim, I can't believe he did that, and I can't believe y'all let it happen. You didn't say, right before that, I was out here smacking niggas.
So there's been several other videos that have come out around that same incident. Mm-hmm. That video of the face, where her face is swollen, is going viral. There's another video of her just filming herself before she goes out that night, and she's demeaning men. I think she's a lesbian. I'm not sure, but that's...
Why do you think?
No, I'm serious. Like, she's talking about, she's in a mirror like, ooh, I just want to get some pussy tonight. It's like that kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? Then there's another video of a dude who was at the Brick Off event, right?
The Brick Off.
Yeah.
The Brickyard 500.
Yeah. And he was like, nah, man, she's known in the community. She's wild as hell. She creates this energy all the time. She's looking for attention. And he was like, I saw her get hit with the brick. He was like, I can't justify her getting hit with a brick. But he was like, if I was to be there again and it happened again, I wouldn't necessarily say I'd step in. You know what I mean? She has this kind of energy. This is what she does. Right. And eventually, you're going to pay for whatever energy you're putting out there. And again, I'm with you. I'm not with hitting no woman in general. Yeah. You know what I mean? Definitely not hitting no woman with no brick.
Like, why is that necessary?
But again, we also have to all be accountable for our behaviors and our actions. And also, it's conflicting stories. Like, this is what I mean about we got to really dig deeper into race and structural understandings and stuff too, right? Mm-hmm. I saw, when she comes out, she says, black men ain't XYZ. Right. Whenever somebody says black, our minds, and I'd assume everybody else's mind, essentially go to African Americans.
Sure, no doubt.
From my understanding, that video is from Africa. From my understanding.
It was in Houston.
So I heard that as well. Mm-hmm. But the dude who said he was there is definitely African, and he was talking about this happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't talking about it like he was from Houston. It was very African in my understanding. Again, I don't know. Who knows how the internet works, whatever, right? But what I thought about was, if that was the case, if he is an African, if that is happening outside of the country, right? And she got a very African, unique look too. Mm-hmm. So it really just makes sense to me, but whatever. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But whenever you hear the conversation of black men, we initially go to us. Like, even though the dude who was responding was obviously African, right? You know what I mean? And again, I don't know for a fact, but she looks to be like Ethiopian or somewhere.
Houston, Texas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's just interesting, like how that immediately goes to us. On that same vein, though, this weekend, I called the police. Jay, in my older age, I'm becoming a snitch, and I snitched on this dude.
Second time you didn't talk to the law this year.
Yeah, I be talking, nigga. I be telling. Don't do it in front of me, because I'm telling. Right? So I'm walking up to the fest, and I hear somebody like, call the police. Right. I'm thinking it's children playing, hanging out the window type of shit. It's a woman screaming for help. She on the third floor in this building, though, and as she says, call the police, somebody else grabs her by the back of the head.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to negotiate with homie, like, fam, whatever it is, it can't be that bad. And he's still, you know what I'm saying? So I said, well, I can't do that. 911! Someone please call 911. Let me tell you about these funky ass police stuff. It's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. They called me back 2 hours later, like, we're here, sir. Where are you at? I said, man, that girl dead. Y'all left.
It's over with.
Oh.
She's been strangled out.
Yeah, she definitely got choked.
She's on the third floor of that building.
He was mollywopping her through the window, G. And she on the third floor. The building locked. What you want me to do?
That's crazy. 2 hours later, we here.
That's crazy.
I told you that a woman was being beaten 2 hours ago. If he's still beating her,
she's strong.
911 didn't even answer the phone half the time, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, G.
Man, that's not funny at all, man. But I don't condone men hitting no women at all. But again, like, the story is kind of like, at least the story that's coming out about the woman who got hit with the brick is that she is kind of an instigator, agitator, and again, that doesn't justify the behavior. Mm-hmm. right? But you know, people out here traumatized, sick, crazy. You don't know how people gonna respond, and if you incite violence, you can't dictate how a person responds to that.
Nah, like just the fact that you a grown woman out here in the streets just smacking dude. And I didn't see I didn't see the genesis of that part of the video either. Only that like the dude didn't seem to be very combative or aggressive towards her in the video in which she smacked him. He was kind of like just standing there. I don't know what happened. And she smacked him. He just took it and she walked off and started twerking it.
And that was a white man.
Yeah, or Hispanic or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, listen, man.
And then she twerked after she did it.
Yeah, like it's cool. Like,
this is what I do, and there is no repercussion for any of my behavior.
I've been smacking niggas. A few moments later. Two-faced in a motherfucker.
I'm sorry for laughing.
No, I'm not.
And it is crazy because then you automatically, when you see it, and then automatically when you go to the comments, everybody like, black men this, black men that, and ladies, it's just us. We got to fend for ourselves, which I never accept. You know, just kind of like what the larger group says. But you see a video
like that, and
but
it's like,
you see it and you will be like, dang, ain't nobody. So you do have to kind of like share the context and like how she became a lady who got.
Right.
How did you become this lady who slaps men and then, you know? That's
real. But the apology is never as loud as the accusation, though, right? Yeah. So even once people see the original video of her slapping and twerking, ain't nobody gonna go back like, oh, okay, you right.
And she still shouldn't have got smacked with a brick.
She shouldn't have been smacked with a brick. Like that's crazy.
Wow.
That's off the chain. Like there, you couldn't just smack her back or whatever. Like you smack her with a brick. Like you know what I'm saying?
Brick? That's wild.
Yeah, that's off the meat, right? That you felt like you needed to hit the lady with a brick.
I don't know if we could play this. This is another video that I put into the group, man. It's just a brother and sister having this conversation. Mm-hmm. And the brother's off camera, but he's talking to the sister. My mic? No, your mic doesn't work. But in the video, the brother's talking about like if there's a room of black women and men were making judgments of those black women, right. Women would want to be in the room.
Oh, right? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we need to all be in the room.
Hypothetical event where every black man in the world was to walk through and be evaluated, whether you're a man, a good man, whatever the case may be. I believe black women will insist on being in that room. Like our voices need to be heard too, right? We need to have a say in evaluating what is a man and what is a good man. However, it seems to be the case that if the opposite was true, there was a room evaluating women, stay out of black women's business. So that tells me
that's not the same. Really quickly.
I'm going to explain what I mean.
Okay, go ahead.
Black women have been socialized to trivialize black men's value. I don't think fatherlessness helps that. I don't think mass incarceration, the war on drugs helps that. I don't think black male mental health helps that. I think it just adds to it. I think it's confirmation bias. We have to be honest about the fact that most black women's operating understanding of black men is not a good one.
Yeah.
And you view the world and you view black men through those lenses first. So the thing is, I don't have to value what you value, black man, but you have to value what I value. So I don't give a shit if you think I'm a good woman. You should give a shit that I think I'm a good woman. Let's say this hypothetical event where
I think that's very interesting, specifically in the construct of how we battle each other today, and I hate that shit. But even why I engage that shit is because I think at the crux of that totem pole, black men have been at the bottom of that shit since we've existed in American society. And I think it's just a response to, again, white supremacy and the dismantling of the black community and all the shit that goes along with that, right? But because of that construct right there, that you all are beyond reproach and we've already been allocated our value, it's very easy to just pile on more shit. Yeah. And nobody can fight back.
Yeah.
It's just a very interesting construct.
It's an unhealthy cycle, right? Of all of these different behaviors, because then it leads to something like that happening, right? It leads to a circumstance where that can take place. One where she would feel justified and capable, able to go around smacking men in the face, and then two, well, dudes would be like, see, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, good for you that you got smacked with a brick. You know what I'm saying? I think both of those things are wrong, but I think they are a result of this kind of off-kilter way of relating and viewing each other. And I think it's a situation where we both do need to be in a room to have those conversations and find out, like, where do we go wrong, right? Where, like, we talk about the evolution of us as individuals, then what is it as a collective that would lead us to a space where a woman would go around smacking me in the face and he would respond by hitting her with a brick?
Yeah, I think, like, men need to hold women accountable.
James Moore, what up?
And women need to hold men accountable also. But then women need to hold women accountable, and then men need to hold men accountable.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I feel like a lot of times it's just we don't understand each other.
True.
Men and women. And in order to get to the bottom of it, we need to have like all those conversations like in a healthy way.
How do men hold women accountable for anything?
How can a man? I mean, I think that having conversations and being straightforward and honest, you know what I mean, and expressing, and also being vulnerable, you know what I mean, as a man. I don't know that holds the woman accountable per se, but I guess it helps a woman understand the man better, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't actually know that a man can hold, I guess what I mean by like hold a woman accountable is like just not let shit slide.
I asked that, right, because in my relationship, I found myself apologizing for shit she did just to go forward. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Whenever you, again, and it's just my experience, it might be different with other people, you know what I mean? But whenever you call, and this ain't just my experience with my wife, this is my experience, right? When you call them to the carpet, this is the denial of the carpet. And if you want to get past that instance over time, because the energy shifts when you call them to the carpet,
you gotta just let it go.
You just gotta let it go.
Yeah, I think some things you let go, some things you don't, right? But it's something about when a man can articulate his feelings and his emotions, you know, and explain like why something happened, whether he did it or if she did it, and how it made them feel and why they, you know, reacted that way or something of that nature. It gets you to like a better understanding. They always say like when you go through difficult conversations, or those difficult conversations that you have in a relationship with a man and a woman, makes like a world of difference.
Does it lead to changed behavior though, right? So, and I've always, well, I won't say I've always, but you know, when I was married, I adapted 80-20 rule in terms of arguments and stuff like that. And it was just about, you know, you start off and, you know, theoretically, it would be 50-50, right? You win half the arguments, I win half the arguments, whatever. But then I think it's another 30% that we just don't give a fuck about. Not to the degree that we willing to carry on in bad energy that you're speaking of, right? And so we're like, all right, cool. Not only do you got your original 50%, but you can also have this other 30, and it's like, but this other 20%, like I'm putting my foot down, I'm not budging on this. Like this is what we own, that 20%. The problem is, even when you get to that 20%, a person that's been able to get their way 80% of the time struggles with the 20% that they don't, and it's like any other behavior. You know what I'm saying?
But why were they able to get their way 80% of the time?
I just explained it to you. We start off at 50-50, and then there's another 30% that we'll just give y'all because I don't want to argue about this all fucking week.
It was a rhetorical question,
right?
Because you don't want to argue about it all fucking week, but you gotta.
But we minimize it. I don't even think we don't want to argue about it all the time. I think it's exactly what that video said. We're all socialized and cultured that you all above reproach.
I mean,
think about the construct of women and men and dating and all that shit. We could place it however we want to place it, but the socialization says men you cater to women, men you open the door, men you da-da-da, men you don't. A tactic in argument with a woman is all she got to do is cry.
Shout out to all the door openers.
Niggas be crying too.
Well, I don't know them kind of niggas. Those kind of niggas you
faking.
It's that rhyme.
Half of y'all in this room done cried.
I have.
Yeah, at death.
Yeah, I can't even tell you.
They fake cried to try to win them.
No.
You haven't done that?
No, I don't.
Child.
I don't.
That's a thing.
When that nigga was just on the phone.
Yes.
Hey, you cried to win an argument?
One of you, y'all.
P definitely has. P definitely has.
No, but
I saw that before we asked the question.
No. But P ain't cried to win the argument. P cried to get accepted back. Like he cheated.
That's what I mean.
P gonna perform. P gonna perform. I'm not a performer. P gonna perform.
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
not crying, Joe. I can't stand crying, Joe.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I feel like when I've had those like conversations.
P just smiled.
Cause he wasn't gonna lie.
Gotcha, bitch.
He wasn't gonna lie. You see, he ain't shake his head no.
As soon as you give him a hug, he behind the back like.
And when they be crying, you just be looking at them like, if you don't get out of my face.
Yeah.
Man can't cry. E?
Yes. I love
You
a
just said be
sensitive man
vulnerable.
that
Then the nigga who
cries.
cried, you talking about get out your face.
Because he was
See what I
lying.
mean? You see what I mean? That's exactly what I was talking about.
He was lying.
In denial. Yeah.
Nah.
It's like my one relationship I had, the guy, he cheated. I found out he was cheating or whatever. He was trying to talk to somebody or whatever. And I was kind of relieved a little bit because
I was relieved he was cheating.
I was relieved in this sense. One, because I already was looking like, it's like it was
You was ready to
obvious.
leave anyway?
It was obvious. No, it was obvious. But it was like that point in the dating experience where it's like, okay, this happened. Now this can either make us stronger and like bring us closer together, or we can just decide not to date anymore.
Right.
But he just was lying, and it's like, bruh, like it was so obvious, and he just couldn't.
Wasn't me.
He did the most.
I slapped at you in your face.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, so I say that to say, like, sometimes when you go through certain things, whether it don't have to be cheating, but if you have like those difficult conversations, and if men maybe could be more vulnerable, I understand maybe y'all don't feel safe and you gotta feel seen to be vulnerable, you know. She's not like
even while she's acknowledging
nothing we do
no, because y'all be like,
she's acknowledging that we being harmed.
I already know what Tua's
Be
gonna say.
vulnerable. You ain't shit, you little sister.
No, because that's not what I said. Because Tua's gonna be like, a man won't be vulnerable with you if he doesn't feel safe to be vulnerable with you. I know that's what you was gonna say.
Just prove your point.
And that's why.
Or
Because Sue's like, babe, I'm really not feeling good
That's
about
not
it.
true.
Oh, you're not feeling good about it.
no,
Your little feelings are hurt.
Then we
Some situations will be like that. Like
we walk past the bathroom later, we hear the phone. Girl, this nigga was here talking about his feelings.
So bitch ass nigga here crying.
No, it'd be like stupid.
How many in this room have seen happy, healthy, successful relationships?
Ooh, those are a lot of things you put on it.
I know. I was about to say when you said healthy, you got me at healthy.
There's long term. There's
I've seen long term.
Successful, if you want to call it that. Happy and healthy. Like, ooh, that's a lot. I don't know if I've seen one of those.
You understand what I'm saying? So
What's long term?
I didn't ask long term. I don't give a fuck.
You just add that.
He added that
I've
shit.
seen happy, healthy relationship.
What percentile are the happy, healthy ones in amongst your peer group? And then let's say that you was able to kind of mimic or coming up as a child.
Sheesh.
In my peer group,
We'd have to define that.
well, currently, like right now, I see a lot of, happy, healthy relationships until I find out
I'm gonna hit you with this Joe
that
Budden
they're
line.
not.
Joe Budden said,
Everybody happy and healthy on the ground.
right,
Right.
Joe Budden was like, they were so happy on the outside that they could only be happy on the outside.
Everybody
like-
happy on the ground.
So I'm right, exactly. So I can't even really say like happy and healthy because, I don't know. I think you're only happy a certain percentage of the time. You know what I mean? And that might sound.
But I think when you recognize a happy, healthy relationship, I'm not talking about everybody smiling, but this is a happy,
and
healthy relationship.
Yeah. I see a lot in my peer group.
Really?
Yeah. I see a lot in my peer group. More than not are happy and healthy than, and I'm talking about like long-term relationships and like marriages.
There are only a few relationships that I even know intimately. You know what I'm saying? So like even
That's
if I say
true,
I
too.
know a lot of relationships, not intimately. You know what I'm saying? I only know a few relationships intimately, and if I was to, put a percentage on those, it wouldn't be very high.
Really?
About happy and healthy, it wouldn't be very high.
Yeah, I say the same thing.
Yeah, I would say if I'm thinking of, it's kind of like a 50-50 split. If I'm just like off the top of my head thinking of 5,
Yeah.
it's like a 50-50 split.
Now, if I was just
Because
going
I
about,
wouldn't go for some of that shit. You know what I mean?
yeah, if I was just going about like all the relationships I know, and you know, then I might have a different number for you because on the surface, I see y'all took pictures and y'all, but
Yeah.
I don't. It ain't like we have discussions about how you really feel, what's really going on. We ain't fucked in 18 months or
Yeah, a year I've heard.
yeah, like that kind of stuff. Like I don't know, if that's healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
or like you know what I'm saying? Like I spend all this time downstairs and she be upstairs and
Right.
well you know what I'm saying? Or I got 3 other girlfriends type shit. Like I don't know that this happy and healthy shit, would be a real high number of the ones that I do know intimately.
And then when you ask, relationships that we aspired to, like those, our elders and things like that, they have
Didn't know them intimately either.
And as I've learned more about them, like, there's been relationships that
Look how they had the
have been
cookout.
20, 30 years, and I've been like, yeah, and they've been married for this long and da-da-da-da.
Hating
And
each other
then
for 22 of them 30
when
years.
you hear, like, what went into it, you know what I mean? Whether it be the woman footing the bill most of the times or, like, things that I'm learning from family members, like, oh, yeah, such and such love to take care of men, or this person, this is what happened, even like our grandparents and stuff like that, they've been together forever. But like,
I was watching Tony Schofield do a stand-up. He came out, he's like, I'm gonna talk about love. He was like, man, me and my wife just celebrated 30 years, and the crowd's like, yeah. He's like, no, don't clap for that bullshit. So at this point, we just waiting each other out. Like, he's like, we're just waiting to see, which one of us gonna die first so we can collect the insurance money, or who gonna leave first. Like, I'm like,
because that be tripped out when people be together for like 30 years and then they get divorced. Like,
Why is that tripped out?
no, I don't think that's true.
people be in their 70s getting divorced.
No, I think it happens often.
That's not tripped out to y'all?
And I think 70 is kind of wild, but I think 50.
At this point,
I think
just
that right around
admit
50 point is.
the 50.
I think
50
people
years of age.
just get to that space and it's like, you know what? I've given all I got to give to this, or I've tolerated it, because a lot of people aren't happy. They're tolerating. You know what I'm saying?
Or
They're
just comfortable.
not living with each other. They just coexisting. You know what I'm saying? And like when you get to right around 50, you're like, all right, I've given all.
I'm on the back end of life.
I'm on the back end of life, or the kids is good and gone.
I'm always go back to what I always go back to. The concept of relating is about self-discovery, right? So, and if, again, this design is not designed for success. It's in totality. That's why I asked the question I asked. Like, if I look at the relationships I could mimic as a child, not one.
Yeah.
Like, my parents had longevity, but these niggas was fighting every day. You know what I mean? I've come to appreciate the fight every day. Because at least through the fight, you're communicating. You know what I mean? Because I'm in a marriage where we don't fight like that. We just shut the fuck down, and it's harder to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, nothing to mimic, right? When I look at my peer group, it might be one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was even more interesting now I think about it. In that one, I'm going to say 2. But the men in both of those 2 culturally are from different countries.
And that goes to
A different
this
cultural,
other clip.
social makeup. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. And that just dawned on me as I was saying this shit. You know what I mean? So culturally, they come from a different design, essentially. It looks the same, but it ain't the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I think about that, like, it's easy to go and say this is the problem or that's the problem, and I know it's a high level conversation. Say no, this is a social design.
That's
like
our issue.
Just like the Monday conversation where we had around violence. It's easy to look at the branch and say this branch is corrupted.
Right.
While not giving power to the root of the tree is sick. You can't produce nothing but corruption.
Right.
When you ask about relationships that we can mimic, honestly, like my dad's the relationship he had when I was growing up. So my god sister, who I always talk about, I always say my god sister. That's actually my dad's ex's daughter.
Got it.
We just started calling each other
Hey,
god
hold on,
sisters.
slow down. You got too much shit going on. You
I follow
my
that.
dad's ex's
My
wife.
dad had a girlfriend, a fiance that he was with for like 11 years for most of my childhood.
Essentially, they would have been
stepsisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they broke up, we just started calling each other god sisters
Okay,
instead of
cool.
explaining the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we talked about this before. He came to her wedding. They still, like, she went down there yesterday to the boat, and I wasn't with her. She
I got a
called my
godbrother
daddy.
like
It's like
that.
our daddy.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know all the happenings of the woman, and when somebody tried to tell me like what happened, I said I don't want to know. I don't want to view her no other way than I view her now, because that person kind of made up part of like who I am today. Like when it comes, that's how I got to Beasley. That's how Nyla got so smart, I think, or part of the reason she's so smart, because her son used to be teaching, having Nyla doing like math games, like coming up with like robotic shit and stuff for fun. And she would come on like, Mommy, I did this, da, 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 because we're still, intertwined. So I don't need to know. She told me, match your panties with your bra. She told me put tissue roll like this, and she was very strict, but I learned a lot from her. I got a lot from her. So even, I don't know like what the relationship was as far as, the ins and outs of it, or what she really did, why they broke up, why he, would not take her back to save his life or whatever like that. But I know what it looked like to me as far as like a healthy
Here's a
long-term relationship.
Grown women that don't match their panties with their bras is wild.
Here's a beach.
Mine don't match right now.
All right. Beach said, what goes on between the man and the woman is between the man and the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So any view that you have from outside of that is a flawed view. What goes on between the man and the woman goes on between the man and the woman. So I granted, I asked a question about healthy, but the design is about personal development. So even if that shit is horrible, if you're developing, it's probably healthy.
Yeah. Because none of this shit is like perfect, and none.
So back to the original statement
Yeah.
of you get to 60 and it's like, I'm out. Because you've developed. It might have took 60 fucking years.
Yeah, it's a progress. I mean, it's a process. And throughout that process, progressing comes with a lot of, peaks and valleys. And those valleys could be deep and they could be extended. You know what I'm saying? At some points. That doesn't make them unnecessary though, right? And if you are willing to face them and then keep putting one foot in front of the other to travel through them, eventually you'll reach the peak that you seek. I was actually having this conversation with my partner, and it was just there's a valley that she doesn't like, and it's like I don't like it either, right?
Yeah.
But you just trying to get to the other side of it. Like, that's not how it works. This is not how it's going. That's not how it's going to be. So, and that process is real. Like, you wanna get in shape. Like, I want to get in shape.
Yeah.
I would like to wake up tomorrow with all my goals, but I know damn well I'm gonna have to do some shit. I'm gonna have to have some uncomfortable days if I truly want to get there. You know what I'm saying? So, that process.
For the cake.
Huh?
I said I apologize for the cake.
No, the cake was fine. This is again, it's because that's a good point though, because even to relationships, it's not about these external things and oh man, I want to stop going out, but it was Ron's birthday, and then it was P's birthday, and then
it's gonna always be.
It's gonna always be somebody's motherfucking birthday. Either you not going out to 2 and 3 in the morning, or you is. Like, you know what I'm saying?
My boo that I love that don't love me back.
Spin the block.
My man that I love that don't love me back.
Great.
Ain't she what I said?
That's okay.
Somebody, one of my friends, I guess it was like a mutual person. I don't know the girl that dated him at a point in time.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to tell me something like what happened between him and this girl or whatever. And he was like saying like, I got to get the full story or whatever like that. I was like, I don't need the story. I don't give a damn. They ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
I'm like, whatever they had going on, that's between them. Ain't no telling who out there telling stories about me or like what I did, and they telling it from their perspective.
True.
But I don't want that to like impact what they got. Now, if it's something crazy, like he be stealing shit or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, let me know that.
What goes on between the man and the woman goes on between the man and the woman.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up.
I wouldn't steal from all women. It's not the same, E. I like her. I wanted to steal from her. It's a difference.
It's my nature. I can't help
My nature. No, I'm just playing. It sounded good.
No,
That's hilarious. I got
You
it.
right or not? No, I'm just playing.
That's hilarious. But to your point, what goes on between the man and I'm like, that don't got nothing to do with me. If I slash somebody's tires before, you don't need to know that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with you. I never have, but I'm just.
Yeah, I would want to know, but you know, God willing,
I'm
you
just
would touch
saying.
my tires. You know what I
But
mean?
maybe it happened when I was, 18.
That's right. We all
You know what I
evolve, and we
mean?
got to give
Right.
space for evolution.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna watch your ass around my car.
Yeah, no,
But you'll never know, because don't tell nobody nothing
I
about
tell
it.
my slashing tire stories to everybody that listen. She slashed your tire. She slashed my shit. But also I'll have a saying that two truths don't make a lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I believe that two truths do not make a lie, and in that I have my truth about whatever the breakdown was between us. You have your truth about whatever the breakdown was between us. Those two things probably don't align,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that me or you is lying. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it's just, two varying perspectives on the same issue. And I think that that's just a real thing where my perspective different from yours can be true, and yours different from mine can also be true. And then that's when you get into that area of understanding, of empathy, of introspection, and then you can hopefully maturely find a way to move forward.
Yeah.
I want to challenge that though, right?
Okay.
Because I think that's a philosophy that a lot of people engage in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we approach the world from that vantage point, right? And I think people expect themselves from other people in that vein,
Sure.
right? Because their truth becomes the truth. And it's not the truth. It's your opinion. It's your perspective. So even how we use the language like two truths don't make a lie. No, two perspectives don't make a lie. That ain't neither are the truth though. You know what I mean? And I think we need to engage around that perspective in the sense that's why I said it's an ongoing journey. So the overall question though was, how do we become us?
Yeah.
Well, we become us through the journeys that we walk. My sister lived in the same house as me. Same parents. We ain't nearly the same motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because the journey I walk ain't the journey she walked. All of the standards are gonna align the same. We went to we didn't go to all the same schools, but we went to some of the same schools. We ate the same meals. These worlds apart.
Different experiences.
And perspectives. You know what I mean? But the truth is we came from the exact same grounding.
Right.
We got the exact same gene pool. The journey ain't the same though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I feel that, but when I say two truths don't make a lie, say like, all right, say like somebody like, oh, you cheated, and it's like, all right, cool, I cheated, all right, that's a truth. Here's a truth that you haven't considered, right? You were distant and not affectionate, or not paying attention, or you stopped doing this, or you stopped doing that, and both of those things are absolutely true. You know what I'm saying?
Again, I argue though. It's true for you.
No, it's true.
Now listen to what I'm saying. Because how I view affection, how I view closeness is innate to me. Back to me and my
But I
sister.
said you stopped, so there was a standard for what that already was.
But again,
But maybe
I hear you. But maybe the lie was being affectionate.
Yeah.
You understand me? So again, back to me and my
The
sister.
foundation was a lie.
Maybe back to me and my sister being in the same house. I talk openly about the disconnect between me and my mama. I don't think my sister would tell you a story about a disconnect between me and my mama. I equate the disconnect between me and my mama to her suffering from depression at a time where that wasn't diagnosed. Either way,
That's
my
another
sister didn't have that experience. Maybe because she adapted to she engaged from a different perspective. You know what I mean? That's the only part I'm arguing, right? So, and I often think that because we have these standards of relating, that's usually outside of ourselves, that we ain't dealing with the real truth anyway, which is our personal journey.
Yeah.
So it's not you coming to whomever say, hey man, you stop being affectionate. It's that person being like, why ain't I affectionate?
Yeah. Or
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, and even with the cheating. So if you have someone that's, if a woman, stops being affectionate, for instance, there was a reason 9 times out of 10 that she stopped being affectionate.
So it keep going down.
It keep just going back and back to the different layers. So, and that's why the communication and explaining, why this makes me feel this way, or why I behaved in this way, why we need to discuss this or whatever is important.
Nah,
you know what I mean? The argument or the communicating, however you do it.
So how do y'all feel like all of these experiences, even going back to childhood and growing up in the house, or like, how do you feel like these things have influenced or impacted the way you behave in present day relationships? Yeah.
Every relationship is a mixed relationship, though. Like even we talking about the experience that we had in our own households.
Yeah.
That's only partially or a portion of it.
Yeah.
Right? The environment, whom you are, all that shit is very different. Shit, being a fat kid, all kind of shit starts to shape beliefs. Right? Starts to shape molehills and mountains that you're going to eventually have to overcome. Some of us never overcome it all.
And they face it with, like, we were talking about depression and stuff. I think we should really have a conversation about that, because a lot of stuff that happens is, covering like depression and anxiety and shit that you're going through. You know what I mean?
Hiding wounds.
The partying, all drinking, like whatever the case may be. Even being addicted to working out or something like that. Those are like distorted masculine traits compared to like a.
They say the more healed you become, the less ambition you have to do anything.
I agree with that.
Me too.
No, I agree with that.
Can I read something for y'all?
Sure.
So, let's see if I sent it to
I do think that can be stifling at times.
What do you mean?
I do think you can be in a space where you are so at peace with yourself. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you're just so at peace or so comfortable or accepting of your current state that it's like, I'm not really striving for nothing else. You know what I'm saying?
But even saying,
I don't know that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it could be stifling.
For you to say it's stifling is the fish not understanding the water. And that's what I mean about the totality of the environment. We are trying to make health out of sickness. The entirety of our construct is sick. Right? We're trying to get well adapted to sickness.
Yeah.
And it's oxymoronic.
That's a word.
You know what I mean? So even when I know people sick of hearing me on my fucking relationship view, because it's all the same. This shit is spiritual.
Yeah.
And if you're not relating from that vantage point, I don't really give a fuck what you're talking about. Because it's a failure waiting to happen. All you're looking for is a performance art. How well can this monkey dance for me? That's all you're really looking for. You ain't gonna say it like that.
That's true.
But that's what you're looking for, a monkey to dance. And when the monkey stops dancing, you are unfulfilled.
That is true.
Because your construct is wrong.
I'm not entertained. Are you not entertained?
So I was talking with my friend, and we were having a conversation about all this, like, femininity and masculinity. We all, have masculine traits and feminine traits. And so he shared with me like distorted feminine patterns and distorted masculine patterns. And I saw myself, a lot of those distorted ways in my past self. And then thankfully I did see a lot of my current ways in the divine versions of them. I'm gonna try to read it fast because it's a lot. But so the distorted masculine patterns: needs to control things, people, situations, environment, compensates with lack of confidence, with excessive action. So that's that hustle, no days off, that hustle mentality, right? Goal mentality. Right. Abusive towards self, over delivers and over gives, lacks authenticity, punishes self, avoids issues or doesn't address them. Aggression and drama, needs perfection, procrastinates, needs power, suppresses emotions, bullies self or others, feels stuck, pushes through the burnout.
I got all that shit.
Undervalues feminine qualities such as intuition, sees no value without action, projects, works 24/7, and continuously needs career or academic achievement for the sake of validation. Distorted feminine patterns, and we all have these as well, or could, waits to be saved, wants to play it safe, needs to prove self, so you're never good enough, imposter syndrome, weak personal boundaries, saves others, dishonest, needy or codependent, seeks external validation, is inauthentic or masking true self, compares self to others, feels like everything is a competition, obsesses over external appearance, envious, feels empty or lost, self-judges and self-criticizes, feels lack of love, money, energy, trust, time, lacks of trust and intuition, and is past and future focused. So you're not present, you're just thinking about the past or the future. Those are distorted masculine.
That was the feminine, the last one?
The last ones I just read were distorted feminine patterns. And we obviously all have a balance of both. And then
I was heavier in the distorted masculine. But I still recognize some of the ones in the feminine. What was the exact last thing you read in the feminine though?
It's past and future focused.
Past and future focused.
And it's funny because even like when my dad...
man, I know so many women I've engaged with that one specific.
Yeah, and my dad always tried to tell me, even when he's like checked on me recently, he's like, you can tell he's worried. He's like, just be present. Just stay in the present. Stop thinking about what's going to happen or whatever.
It
just
makes
be
fulfillment
present.
impossible.
Yeah.
It makes fulfillment literally impossible.
That's deep, Jim. You're right.
So the divine, though, I'll read the same order from masculine to feminine. So this is obviously what we want to aspire to be moving. So the divine masculine patterns honors feminine in the one who knows, brings process and strategy to growth and expansion, deeply supports you in the creation process, action, provider within, provides you with everything you need internally, the willingness to take what is here for you, serves the feminine for the greatest good of all, always holding and supporting the feminine, motivated by spiritual connection, which is what you always say too, courageous when taking on challenge and change, delivers, takes joy in pleasing the feminine, initiates, doesn't wait for people to come to approach him, initiates the conversation and takes action, high levels of personal responsibility, focused on the prize of creating and providing, aware of his power and uses it in a responsible, compassionate way, aligns personal choices with universal choices, loves to give, and invites new experiences.
I got a lot of them too.
Right. The divine feminine, the divine feminine sees the big picture, desires growth and expansion, creates and gives birth to ideas, nurtures ideas and new creations, intuition, trust masculine to provide time, space, and resources necessary to bring creations to life, self-trust, dances in the unknown because she knows that she is protected by masculine energy, loves to receive, empowers others through shining her light and doesn't try to save or rescue others, chooses and commands, flirts, strong personal boundaries and high standards and communicates them well, trusts others so she lets her guards down, or feminine, sources value internal, so full of self, collaborates with the universe, surrenders and allows, has absolute self-love and acceptance, wants to be vulnerable and authentic, in tune with intuition and trusted, completely present, focused on the now, and has fun. There's playfulness in the creation process.
So what stood out to me in the divine feminine one, it just kind of, because it encapsulates a lot of the conversations we've been having today. It was the one that trusts, but it was trust backed by, because she's
can trust in the masculine.
Dancing in the unknown. That's what it was. I like that.
Dancing in the it's like all the shit that is like just be.
Based in trust because of the divine masculine. Then let's go back to the two videos though. The sister who got hit by the brick.
Right.
The other sister I said was we want to be in the room with you, that back and forth conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
The brick plays out because innately we can't trust black men because of the narrative that's been created since our existence on this goddamn soil. Right. So you can't even create future fulfillment anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? I.e. explaining water to a fucking fish. Right? Because the root of the tree has been defined through the lens of sickness. I say the two healthy relationships I know, and when I started thinking about it, I say, damn, both of them dudes
from a different cultural background.
It's wild too when you say fruit of a poisonous tree. That's a legal term that's often used in court, right? And it's a basis upon which to throw a good case out, right? So the state got a good case and they got good evidence and their case is good. But it'll get thrown out because it's fruit of a poisonous tree. Say, yeah, you do got evidence and it's true and it do say this motherfucker did that. But you got that evidence unlawfully. So everything thereafter is fruit from a poisonous tree. So, we saw his phone. He said he killed her. That's true. You weren't supposed to be in his phone though. You know what I'm saying? And then it throws everything else away. And so I say that to say, when we get to these spaces where we like, yo, well, we make this amount, or I got this title, or we live in this house, I drive this car. If it's fruit from a poisonous tree, you throw all that shit away. It's invaluable. It doesn't matter here. Yeah. You know what I mean? If we talking about, so I'm talking about the court of law, but if we talking about universal law, spiritual law, you can throw all that shit out. It's fruit from a poisonous tree. It does not matter here. It holds no weight here. And like, I'm with you on that shit, G. Like,
that's where we find ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And we keep having circular conversations because it's all fruit of a poisonous tree.
So we should aim to operate more in these divine energies on either end, whichever one you have. I find myself with a lot of the ain't a man, woman thing.
It's a balance between masculine and feminine energy.
Yeah,
and we all got some, and women should tend to have more feminine, and men should tend to have more masculine. But we all got some, and I think that if we are operating in the divineness of those things and are able to properly balance them and are fortunate enough and wise enough to identify the partner most suited for you and your balance to theirs, you be Gucci.
So look, I got to make a presentation tomorrow.
Go hard.
No.
Yes.
No, listen.
Right.
So, and it ain't got nothing to do with like no relationship.
Yeah.
But it's in the social field. Right? And I'm looking at this company's website and all this shit, and I'm reading some of their achievements and all this shit, and they're heralded, right? And it's a big money opportunity, right? But as I look at the website, I see all kind of flaws, in at least in comparison or in contrast to how I think about certain things,
right?
Right? And I want to tell the truth, because the truth, at least in my mind, my truth is dynamic and is valuable to said corporation. But I also know that this truth would shut the door for all of the opportunity I'm trying to amass from said corporation. Because even said corporation is built on a bed of lies, because the whole goddamn society is built on a bed of lies.
Fruit of a poisonous
Now think about this shit though, right? I pay attention to life. I'm engaged. I read. I'm listening to different sources. I kind of operate in that trusting the universe. I'm conscious enough to even know that the universe is working in my favor.
Right.
I'm a fucking anomaly in any environment.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a corporation I wanted to have this conversation with. I can't if I want to win.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I thought about it. I just in the context of having this thought in my mind this morning. I said, I wonder if I could have this conversation with my neighbor or the dude down the street, or they're unconscious of it either. Everybody's in the water.
No, I think
so. To the point of the more healed you become, the less ambitious you become, the more lonely you become, the more, because you are not going to fit into an environment of unhealthy people. It's like to get healthy, you're doomed to, you know what I'm saying?
To be,
you're regulated to misery on the back end of that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're gonna be cast off.
You're gonna be cast off
because that's just what it is. But then I think it then becomes incumbent upon us to determine, okay, then what does winning look like? What do I deem most valuable? Is it about being included, or is it about being true?
I think it's both and no. And I think it's both
ideally,
because that's why prisons get your ass solitary, because we are designed to be in each other's presence. That's the universal design. The human design that we all are experiences keeps a construct of rugged individualism going. They're combating concepts.
Yeah, but I think you talk about being in each other's presence to be in whose presence, right? So I think the vast majority of people will absolutely shun that and be like, get out of here, right? But I think there are absolutely a segment of the population who would be recepting of that and receive that. I think that's what you saw from like the hippie shit and what was it called? Like the 60s and 70s.
Love movement.
Yeah, where they went all wherever the fuck they went. They were trying to find their tribe. They felt like this world that's currently constructed was bullshit. Now everybody else looking at them crazy, like, oh, y'all just getting high and fucking on each other. And part of that was probably true for some of them, but some of them was really like, I don't like this construct. I don't want to be a part of it. I want to go somewhere else and do something else. Who else believes that way? And I think that like we could be about the business of finding those people, but I think that because we've been so indoctrinated and so kind of almost unable to detach from it. I don't mean mentally, emotionally. I mean physically unable to detach from it because we've been brought up into it, right? Because we already have the cars, the houses, the bills, you know what I'm saying? The families. Like, how do I get out of it now, right? And I think the construct understands that. Like, if I can get you from age 6 to age 18, the chances of you ever getting out of here, slim to none.
The more hybrid it becomes, the more inability you have to separate from it.
Yeah.
Even the partying, and you touched on this a little earlier when you said the more healed you become, you get exiled and that sort of thing. It's like even when I stopped drinking, it was more like, oh,
what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you a weirdo type of thing.
Boring. You can't hang out with us.
like that.
That's true.
So it's in all aspects. So not even just like emotionally or you know what I mean, like physically too.
Yeah.
You know.
And most of our relationships are predicated on doing and not being.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
Holy factoid. I think that's real,
dancing,
man.
monkey.
That's why I appreciate this intellectual thuggery that happens in these conversations on Urban too. I think that we do. You talk about, can I even talk about this with my neighbor or the person that's down the street or the person that's in my house? Like, can I have these conversations? It's like, nah. And I appreciate being able to have these conversations here, and I find great appreciation and pride in these conversations when I hear people be like, yo, I wasn't even thinking on that shit. Y'all got me thinking about some different shit. And it's like, well, I'm glad that this platform, that we can build a platform to have these type of conversations, but the truth is we talking through it too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't to come pat us on the back like, oh, y'all so enlightening, y'all got these great ideas. Like, we have some thoughts and we got to talk through them. And as we talk through them, we start to enlighten each other and we start to learn from each other. And we start to hear and express different things. And it's like, damn. And so, like, when we first got with Ron, he was just, knocking on green doors, chasing box and shit. And now he like, man, I can't even be around my friends no more because they don't want to hear the shit I got to say no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well,
I mean, y'all called me aggressive the other day and I was like, I know y'all was joking and stuff, but
with you though,
I know, but I'm just saying, you still think about those things like
that. Maybe y'all, you know what I'm saying?
Even though y'all just joking and stuff like that,
it causes some introspection.
Exactly. So,
oh, for real,
it happens.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate this platform a whole lot.
Yeah.
Certainly hope all of y'all appreciate it as well. Thank y'all so very, very much for tuning in to this Relationship Friday edition of Urban 2. Hopefully, y'all have some thoughts about your own course, your own journey. How have you arrived at the place where you are currently the person that you are? What moments, what interactions led to those types of evolutions? And are you happy with them? And could you change them if you are not? Those are the questions that we should all be asking each other as we move forward on this journey of life. Again, thank y'all so very, very much. Shout out to all the official dirtbags who watched it as it aired live on Tuesday. If you're catching it on Saturday, we certainly appreciate that from all of y'all as well. We'll be back here next week for another edition of Herb and 2. Major shout out to P.I. Medium shout out to Ron Rilla. Minimal shout out to E4O. For 2, my name is Herb. Y'all be good to each other. Peace.
Salam alaikum.